Everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand as Manchester United are Carabao Cup winners, the first trophy winners of the English domestic season. I know Ben wants to talk about the game itself and we're going to talk about what more is possible, but Erik ten Hag, talk to me about him. First trophy up for grabs. I don't think Pep, Klopp, Sir Alex, all these great managers, I don't think they won a trophy in their first season. Unbelievable.
He's done really, really well. I like the way he's just turned it around completely, mate. And I think the whole atmosphere of everything, whether it's the fans, the players, the way they respect the manager, the way he respects the players, I think he's got everybody on the same page now. He's done really well with the signings that he's brought into the club. But the most important thing that he's done is that. Do you know what I mean? That bit there, that's what he's done. And so you see it full time. They win the game, Man United, and Man United of old, or even like Man City and stuff like that, when you win the Carabao Cup, it's kind of like, yeah, it's a Carabao Cup, it's not the end of the world, brilliant. Nah, you could see what it meant to everybody, but I guarantee you, Ten Hag would have said to the lads, listen, when you win this match at full time, right, I want you celebrating. This is a big deal, all right? Winning a major competition doesn't come around very often, right? Yeah. And you need to enjoy it and you need to make sure the fans enjoy it and show them what it means to you. And I think that's what everybody did so well. So when the full-time whistle went, you saw straight away, Dalot was it, I think, ran straight on and almost grabbed Ten Hag, everybody sprinting onto the pitch. And that's the bit that I really like, because if they would have just been like tried to be cool with it and been like, oh, it's just a Carabao Cup,
not
whatever.
Anything for 6 years, you've got to, haven't you?
Exactly, and that's what I loved. I absolutely loved it, and I think the fans loved that even more as well, to see how much it meant to the players, because the players probably saw how much it meant to the fans as well, and that's the nice bit. It's like it's back again.
We had Piers Morgan, I saw it last night. He was taking the piss, saying basically that United celebrating a Carabao Cup is embarrassing, and I had to say, last week you were celebrating Ronaldo's penalty in Saudi Arabia. Embarrassing.
Did you reply?
Yeah.
You had to. I knew you'd reply. I saw it last night.
I like Ronaldo. I'm not slagging Ronaldo off. I'm just saying, like, as soon as someone starts saying embarrassing that you're celebrating a trophy, they've lost.
Yeah.
Because that's just bitter. That's just like, you've not won and we have. And it's up to us how we celebrate. If we go, nah, we're not bothered, or we go, yeah, we are bothered, it's up to us.
He's fishing, mate. He's fishing. That's all Piers is doing. He's fishing for an argument with somebody. He wants all the Man United fans. He is. He's jealous. He wants all United fans to bite on it. But no, celebrate, mate. I love it when players celebrate things like that, because it's a big deal. Like, you don't win major competitions very often, and especially now it's getting harder and harder every single year to win anything.
Well, that's always been Pep's trophy, and last year it was Liverpool's trophy. And I've got to say, Ben, I was looking at it when they lifted the trophy, and obviously you've been in that situation. I want to ask you what it's like when you actually win, but I'd just forgotten. I was saying, like, all through, I play FIFA, and the only time I see United winning trophies is when I'm lifting them at the end of the season, which ain't that often anyway, but just that bit where they lift trophies. I mean, I don't buy shirts anymore, but one thing I'll never get tired of is seeing players lift the trophy, and I loved it, and I didn't care that it was Maguire and Bruno. I don't think anybody did. It was just great to see. But they've won a trophy now. What does that do? I know it was different when you did it at Birmingham, because that was a shock, wasn't it? It's not like you thought you were going to go and win the league next, but when you win a trophy, does that empower a player? Does that make you believe in confidence more, or does it not matter much?
I don't think individually it does necessarily, but I think it just does for the team. I think once the team knows that they can win stuff, anything's possible from that moment. And I think this is a massive thing for United. Like, I remember winning it with Birmingham, and for a team like Birmingham, like I said, we wasn't supposed to win anything, and that, I think, emotionally it took so much energy out of us, so much so that we ended up going and getting relegated that season. But I think for a team like United, I think they'd have gone into the final thinking, yeah, we're going to win this. And then they have won it, and I think this will give them even more of a boost now going forward. So, like I say, they're in a title challenge, they're in the Europa League, they've just beaten Barcelona. Everything's looking good. If they can just keep this going, keep players fit, this could be a monster season for Man U.
We'll talk about what's to come, but you make a good point there. I mean, I said that, I don't know whether you saw the press conference on Friday, and basically Ten Hag called Newcastle chessboard FC boring. You know, the ball's always out, this, that and the other. And then I put a tweet out last night saying this game was won in the press conference, because Eddie Howe went on the front foot, intense, and we played. You were saying before, I don't think United played that well, and I sort of agree. I thought we played brilliant in the way we managed the game, but we had to counter-attack, probably because we were tired from Thursday. And to counter-attack, you need a team to attack you, and if Newcastle play that low block, you've got to be energetic on the ball, which we weren't. And I thought Newcastle did play with the real intensity, and United relied on that experience of De Gea and Varane and Casemiro, and then it was clinical. clinical with the chances.
I think the game plan I think Newcastle probably fell for it.
Yeah, they did.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's exactly what you mean, is Newcastle probably fell for it. I honestly thought Newcastle were quite unlucky, to be fair. The defending from Man United yesterday was as good as I've seen from any team, honestly, this season. They have been incredible. Some of the blocks and challenges, David De Gea making big saves at big moments. Do you remember the one where Casemiro did that slide challenge and then gets up and he's roaring, but then straight away you see behind him, you see Varane walking over to him going, yeah, love that. And then that kind of stuff, right? That is so valuable.
What do you think about that? Because I heard Varane saying that, and he said we consciously do this because we want to reward each other for what we've done, because we're trying to build something. So if you make a tackle, we come over and say well done, so that the player feels like they're appreciated.
It's exactly that. Everybody likes to be told you're doing a good job, don't you? Some people don't need it necessarily, but on the pitch, when it's in front of players, in front of fans and the opposition, right? That bit there where you go up and you drag your mate up off the floor and you go, I love that kind of stuff. Oh, mate, it's massive. The buzz you get off that, the adrenaline, like the goosebumps it gives you, right? Like we used to, honestly, I've done it all through my career. Either when you're winning or when you're losing, whatever it is, you try and just go after your mate and go, you little legend, you blah, blah, blah. Because then the fans see that and they get roaring a bit more, and it just gives everybody a little bit more of a boost. But I love it, and that's what you get from having those senior professionals who are world-class players at the same time.
Yeah, and I think I've been saying it for a while, but Varane, Martinez, Casemiro and De Gea, that sort of, whatever you call it, square, it's not a square, it's like a diamond, isn't it? And it's just, it's hard to get through, and teams.
That's the engine room of the team, mate. That's the whole engine room of the team. And if they're giving you 7, 8 at every single game, 7 or 8 out of 10 every single game, and then couple it with the fact that they're, like I say, we're dragging other players by the scruff of their neck up and going, yes, love that. And that everybody just feeds off that.
It is. It's a funny final, and I think finals. I mean, who cares? As long as you win the trophy, it doesn't matter. But I think that the way the final went, I think it probably was a very, you look at February, Man United played so many games, and Newcastle had 8 days off. It's their first final. Their fans are buzzing, and I think I was a bit surprised by Ten Hag in the press conference, but I thought, you know what, he's done that for a reason. He's obviously looking at that game and going, I need to taunt them out a little bit, because Newcastle could have just sat there and gone, you players, and I think that would have been a very difficult...
Yeah, but Man United have played so many more games than Newcastle, so, Man United's last game was against Barcelona the other night, and can you imagine how sort of emotionally taxing that is, playing against, second leg against one of the biggest clubs in the world, Barcelona? That's like normally a Champions League final. So that is... one, not only emotionally tiring, physically tiring, to go and win the game at the same time and play as well as they did in that game, and then have a cup final on the Sunday. God, mate, that is tiring.
But even as a fan, I don't know what it's like for yourself, but like I was saying yesterday when we'd won it, it was like Newcastle have been building for this all week.
Yeah.
I probably got into the mood for this about 2 hours before the game, because it's like the Barcelona games, you've got to enjoy that. Then it's Saturday where there was no football, so have a few beers and a curry. And then you wake up Sunday and it's like cup final.
Oh, it's it.
And then it starts and you're like, bloody hell, this really...
Maybe that's a good thing then, you know what I mean? Like, maybe that's another way of looking at it then, where United have probably been so preoccupied with the likes of playing against, Barcelona away, Barcelona at home, and then it's like they don't have chance to look forward to the Sunday, whereas Newcastle have had all week and it's just constantly in the news. They're constantly doing press conferences and interviews, and it's like, that's tiring, mate. Genuinely, it is. It's tiring when that's constantly the focus all the time. Whereas United, they've got to look at one game and then the next game, and then it's like, right, we've got another game in 4 days, lads. It's the final, so now let's try and get ready for that final. And they haven't spent all week doing all the other stuff.
I said at the start that, I'm pretty sure Pep didn't win a trophy in his first year, despite having an open chequebook and a very good team that had won things. Liverpool, Klopp took over a tough job there, didn't win anything. I think they went to the final maybe...
for a few years. Good few years.
Sir Alex obviously took over a United side that, it's the 80s, but it took him a while. It's not easy to come in. I mean, there are people who've done it. I think Chelsea have done it a couple of times. New manager comes in and wins straight away. But to do it with that United side that was the worst Premier League United side, and then go and win the first trophy that's up for grabs, and we'll talk about other stuff. But, I mean, it is remarkable from Ten Hag. I heard some people saying yesterday, maybe he should be getting Manager of the Year over Arteta, even if Arteta wins the league. I mean, that's a debate. I think it's remarkable for Arteta.
I still think, though, between now and the end of the season, if Man United can keep it going, genuinely keep it going. I think, like I say, you've got Champions League starting to kick off again now. Arsenal are going to be playing in that. Man City are going to be playing in that. Pep Guardiola said it himself, didn't he? He said Arsenal are going to drop points. We're going to drop points. And what he actually said was, he says it's between us with whoever doesn't drop the most points. Basically, he hasn't even conceded that Man United are in the race as well. So if Man United can keep this going, they can be there and thereabouts as well. And if they do that, then there's no reason why Ten Hag can't be in the reckoning for Manager of the Year as well.
What do you think it is down to? Just because he said after the game yesterday, he shouted out Casemiro over David De Gea. Like he said, these players, if you put them in the right team and situations, their experience is massive. Is it just that? I mean, some people say, it's because he got rid of Ronaldo, which I think is nonsense.
Yeah.
I think but what do you put it down to? Because it's an unbelievable run. Obviously, the trophy, and there are more trophies hopefully to come, but it's still remarkable what he's achieved in such a short space of time. It's
like we said, I think we did this interview last week or the week before where I said it's about how high you set your bar and the minimum you expect from players, basically. If the minimum you expect from players is quite literally just going out and giving it everything you've got, you can forgo the fact that you might have an off day of technique or passing or shooting, because if everybody is still on the same page and working hard and pressing in the right areas, you'll beat so many more teams, because there's so many more teams that their bar is lower than you to start with, and they haven't got the quality as well. So I think what he's done is the biggest thing for me, and everybody respects him because he obviously is that guy who shows respect to players and in return expects respect back as well. But the players that he signed, I think just having Casemiro in there with the leaders like Martinez and Varane, De Gea, that you just know you can rely on. Like these four players that I just mentioned there, if you know you can rely on these four players to be fit, first and foremost, every week, and give you 96, 7, 8 minutes of first-class leadership football with the quality as well. It's a great start.
It's also interesting as well, you see Harry Maguire lifting the trophy and he's basically been a mascot this season, with all due respect, and yet he's smiling and he's happy.
Part of the team.
Below, off at half-time in a cup final, and yet he's on the side,
part of the team.
Wait. And that is two things, isn't it? That's a manager that creates a fear factor that no one's definitely getting in my team. And it's also ruthless to be... He probably does it in a nice way, but he probably said to that at half-time, I'm a bit worried about Maximin. You're on a yellow card.
Yeah.
The most important thing is you get a winner's medal. I'm taking you off and Aaron's coming on. And then Deleu's on the side smiling, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka comes on and plays brilliantly, and win the trophy.
Mate, if Deleu is that sort of player that if he's getting brought off because of that circumstance, and if Deleu goes and kicks off there, then Deleu's out. I guarantee you, Deleu would be far away from that first team as you could possibly get, because if he can't understand the situation and understand why the manager's doing what he's doing, then he shouldn't be part of the team. Because
but a year ago, and I'm not saying Deleu, but Maguire had
somebody might have something to say.
They were starting games, and there was loads of leaks. They're now not starting games, and they're not leaking it, and that fear, respect, it all.
That's all what it is. Everybody knew it was coming at half-time with Deleu, and it's not a great situation. You don't want to be bringing your players off at half-time, but you have to understand the situation. It is what it is. Fair play to Wan-Bissaka, one of the best 1v1 defenders in the Premier League, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh, it was a brilliant second half. I think if he'd played the full game, he'd have been pushing Casemiro. Ten Hag has said 10 o'clock flight last night from London, back to training today, match against West Ham on Wednesday, no celebrations, only you carry on with it. Doesn't surprise me, obsessive. I mean, if it's Birmingham, you're probably getting pissed for the rest of the season, aren't you?
Pretty much, we did.
But what's next? Like, the Liverpool away at the weekend. I think we've said United have got to win that if they want to be in a title race, which is difficult because Arsenal won at the weekend and City. But FA Cup, Europa League. Yeah. I said trophy and top four at the start of the season. I'm happy.
But that's done, guaranteed already.
So that's in the bank basically. Yeah. What do you think now?
I think FA Cup, cool, that'd be great. United have prided themselves on being massive FA Cup winners and runners and always being in the reckoning. A Europa League, a proper Europa League run where I'm talking semi-final, final, possibly even winning it. Do you know what I mean? I think beating Barcelona, home and away, I know it was a draw away, but I think Man United went there and everybody could see that they were the better team. They were the better team. They're better than Barcelona. And that's the best team in Spain, by the way. I think the rest of the world, probably looks at that and goes, shit, they're actually decent. They're going to be there or thereabouts come the end of the season. So if they can do a proper Europa League run this season, possibly even win the thing, that's an outrageous season. Because like you say, top four, guaranteed. You never even know what you're going to get from there. But proper Europa League run.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what United can do. And as I say, I mean, I'm not happy with the Carabao Cup and top four. I'm just saying at the start of the season, I'd have bit your hand off for that. I think now there would be a disappointment if that was it, because you like I say, you see the trophy being lifted and you think it's like a drug, isn't it?
Yeah,
like, I want that again now. And I think that's I think well, you've been in that position as a player. That's when you taste that, you want it again.
Yeah, I think all the United players will, if they sit back today and look at it and go, lads, we've done really well. We've come pretty far here, to be fair. And bearing in mind as well, like, shout out to people like Wout Weghorst, yeah? Wout Weghorst, where, like, he doesn't really go screaming and shouting and making a big scene of things and that. He goes about his business very sort of under the radar. He is what he is, and the manager still goes, no, you're doing a job for me. People might ridicule you for being 7 foot tall and not having necessarily the best touch, or be the most clinical finisher. He had a chance early doors. But that is him. But what he does do is he makes a nuisance of himself, and he works like a dog as well, so that other players around him can go and flourish when they get the ball. Fair play, that's some going.
Nearly scored a worldie as well.
Nearly scored a worldie, I know.
From Hogwarts to a Carabao Cup winner in the space of a few weeks. But no, we'll see what happens over the coming weeks. But yeah, definitely feeling a bit tired and leggy this morning, and but very, very happy as well. Thanks for coming on, Ben.
Pleasure, mate. United, come on, we're back, boys, we're back.
Speak to you in a bit. Smash a like and subscribe.